I think of the fashion challenge as a sort of ecosystem way off balance. Solving this challenge is a systems problem, and will take no less than a total redesign of what textiles are made of, how they move through the economy, and how many times they're used. I'm Melissa Yule, Chief Growth Officer of Elemental Impact. I've spent my career building investment strategies, policies, and partnerships to deliver solutions to our climate crisis. And I am so excited for the Climate Tech Map. I grew up in Hawaii, close to nature, both the ocean and the land. My mother's family are farmers and fishermen. I surfed, paddled outrigger canoe, and counted humpback whales for science class. Then in college, I started to learn about the ways our natural world was being threatened: pollution, overfishing, species extinction, and the biggest tragedy of the commons of all, climate change. I wanted to become a scientist, and so I studied ecology. And I loved learning about the different systems in nature and their interdependence. But I was also interested in human society and our interdependence with nature, and why it was so out of balance. So I was drawn to law and policy too. And I actually started off as a fellow at the Natural Capital Project down the hall, working on new mechanisms to incorporate the value of nature in our decisions. I remember learning about the staggering negative impact of fashion and textiles on our environment from one of Elemental's portfolio CEOs, Stacy Flynn. She had come from a career in mainstream fashion and told a story about why she decided to leave and start a company creating circular clothing and textiles. She described visiting garment manufacturers in China and smog so thick she couldn't see across the street. She talked about the impact on rivers and all the garments that ultimately go to waste. Her story really brought the problem to life for me, as well as the possibility of another way. Textiles and apparel are responsible for a whopping 10% of global emissions. And when we think about climate change, clothing usually isn't top of mind, but every garment actually comes with an invisible emissions tag. That's because the full fashion value chain, from the raw materials to the system that prepares the fibers, weaves or sews, dyes or bleaches, and ultimately manufactures that item of clothing for your use, is powered by many polluting substances, including the oil and gas inputs that create stretchy, durable fabrics, and the coal and other fossil fuels that power much of the manufacturing process. And then, on the other end, after just a few years of use, virtually all of what is produced ends up in landfills or incineration, where natural fibers release methane and synthetics shed persistent microplastics. Business models like fast fashion, which demand cheaper and even faster turnovers, make this footprint even worse. This leads to billions of clothes being worn just a little and then wasted, with less than 1% of materials recycled. To change this, innovators want to move from a linear system to a circular one. Two areas in particular are ripe for innovation in this space. The first is circular textiles. The fast fashion industry follows a linear path: take resources, make clothes, and then throw them away. This leads to billions of clothes being worn just a little and then wasted, with less than 1% of materials recycled. To change this, innovators want to move from a linear system to a circular one. That means designing clothes so their parts can be easily taken apart, fixed, and reused instead of tossed out. They make clothes with pieces that can be separated and repaired. Along with these new designs, businesses are creating ways to rent, resell, and repair clothes so they last much longer. The next is sustainable fibers. And like I mentioned earlier, most clothes today are made using fossil fuels. Over 63% of the fibers are plastics made from oil and gas, which means a lot of hidden pollution is built into what we wear. To fix this, innovators are working to create new, sustainable materials that don't rely on petroleum. Some of these include low-carbon materials made from plants, new types of fibers from wood, and bio-based leather that's much better for the planet. One moonshot that I'm really excited about is this idea of everyone having a textile printer or clothing printer in their own home. And so that relies on recyclable fabrics and materials, but imagine every day you wake up and you print out whatever outfit you want to wear and take that with you throughout the day. At the end of the day, you come back, you feed it back into the printer, and it recycles that fabric for the next morning. Although it can be easy to focus on consumers as part of the solution, I encourage innovators looking at this topic to think about the whole value chain and all of the players along the way. What can you build to help make the choice to decarbonize easier? For a manufacturer, a distributor, or even a designer. Put yourself in their shoes to find new angles to innovate from. This will increase adoption of solutions at all points across the value chain. I think of the fashion challenge as a sort of ecosystem way off balance. Solving this challenge is a systems problem, and will take no less than a total redesign of what textiles are made of, how they move through the economy, and how many times they're used. Finding innovative ways to decarbonize fashion is one trend that will never go out of style.